Welcome to La Petite Ferme. I am Valentine. I'm from Zimbabwe, but here I'm a wine ambassador. To work here 2 years ago. That is my third year to work here, and then I'm working also as a wine ambassador. First grape that the Dutch East Indian people, they brought it here and they started to put it down on our soil also. Okay. And then also for those wines, we have also the Shiraz, the Cabernet Sauvignon, the Malbec grape, and then also we have the Merlot that was also on group of the first wines that they brought it here. So those Dutch East Indian people, they started to come here in 1685. By the time they came here, they were staying in Good Hope, that is in Cape Town. It's where the sheep, they came with the sheep and then they dropped them there. So they started to stay in Good Hope. So also the biggest farm around here in South Africa, that is the Groot Consortia, that is in Cape Town. That was also since 1685. So that is our biggest wine farm. And then around here in Franschhoek, that is also the Boshendal. That is also 1685. The Dent Kent family, they were started to board this farm in 1972. So 72, 73, 74 to 78, the time they saw that, okay, now the pears and plums, there's no big business to make more money. And then Carol, she said to them, and then she said, yes, John, look, now what we are going to do, I have the experience of back of the house and front of the house, so we need to open our own restaurant. And then she started to open this restaurant. It was only inside, beside where the people they are sitting inside. So they work as a 40-seater restaurant inside. Carol and John, they said to the son, no, now we are not managing this business. Can we sell this farm? Okay. And then Maki said to the parents, no, you can't sell this farm. Let me try something. So that was the year that Mark started to plan about the grapes. So the grape they started to plant here, that was the Cabernet Sauvignon at the back of our house this day in 1996. Okay. So 1996 and 1996 they started 3 grapes, but the first one that was the Cabernet, and then they put the Shiraz, that is our first one that is on front of us, and then we have the Merlot, that is our second block, and then we have also the Sauvignon Blanc, that is down there. If you have time, you can walk up down there, and then at the back we have also the Cabernet Franc and Viognier. We have the Chardonnay, we have the Malbec, we have a small portion for the Pinot Touch. So since they done that, and the money for Mark was also a lot. Right. So he was trying something that is big to him. So he looked for something to do, and then he went to La Côte. That was La Côte in the town also. It's a big wine farm. So it's where he is today. So he sold this farm in 2015. Okay. So 2015 he sold to Mr. Karim, that is from Switzerland. So he's the current owner. And if we are coming back here in our property, we have some cottages that we are having. We have the 5 on that side, and then we have another 5 on that side, and another 5 that they are renovating that side. That is also our new rooms that it will be standing there. And then also in 1 month to come, I think they're still busy, but they're almost done. They're going to start to make a spa where our in-guest house is. They're going to chill if they want to have some drinks, if they want to do anything that is quiet, if they don't want to mix with other people from outside, they will go and stand there and then they have some drinks. If you see, our restaurant is quite big. We sit like more than 80 people to 85 people. So inside and outside. And also we do the meetings here. We do private meetings. We do private weddings. We do also birthday parties. If you want to book the whole restaurant, you are welcome also to do that. So here in Western Cape, where there's some grapes, where I know, like Franschhoek Valley, and then we have the Stellenbosch and Durbanville side, and then we have the Wellington. So those three sides is different climates. So if you are here in Franschhoek, that is a warmer climate. If we are in Durbanville side, Stellenbosch, that is a cool climate because of the breeze from the sea. So also there, they make nice white wines and red wines, better white wines and red wines. And then if you go to Wellington, it's a hot climate. They make also good red wines and sweet wines. But here in Franschhoek, most of the 75% of our wines, that is white wines. Okay. And then we make 25% of the red wines. So that is a warmer climate here, cool climate that side, and hot climate on Wellington side. Okay. Yes. We want to start with our Sauvignon Blanc here. That is our first wine that we are going to have it. So the Sauvignon Blanc for us, that is a medium-bodied wine, and also that is from the stainless steel tank for 2 months. We do skin conduct for 6 to 8 hours, and then we press it, and then we send to our 100% stainless steel tank. Also, you can pick up some fresh acidic green grass flavor from the nose and the palate, and also citrus and lime. That is also a good wine to pair with some green dishes food, like the halloumi, the poke bowl, the Caesar salad, also the beetroot carpaccio. Let me say, the green dishes food is good to pair with our Sauvignon Blanc. So that is our summer wine, our 13.5% alcohol. For our winemaker, I can say he's too creative. So he went to France in a province region that is in Rhône, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So it's where he got this style to make with 100% Grenache Noir. And also that is some beautiful aromas of the canned floss and the strawberry, our medium-bodied wine. Also from the stainless steel tank for 2 months. Skin conduct, that is 1 to 2 hours. It's 100%. I mentioned that it's 100%, not blend. Like now we have the gold medal here that we are having here. That was the Gilberts and Gila for international challenge. We won 1 gold medal. And then we have our awards, 2 hours here. That is the 10 stars. 5-5 on that side. That was the Rosé Rock also. That was on the competition for all the rosé wines that is around here. And then we won 2 double gold medals. And then also here, if we check on our label, here we have 2 double gold medals standing here. So meaning that we always do for the challenges each and every year. It depends which wines are going to the challenge. That is our challenge. And then we won 2 double gold medals. That was 3-4 days ago that we won these gold medals. So I said, the time the Huguenot people, they came here, they started to put down the Cabernet Sauvignon. That was their first grape, they put it down. And also, that is the first grape that we put it down here in La Petite Ferme. And also for the competitions each and every year, that is our best one that also standing on the... So each and every year, the Cabernet Sauvignon for us, we normally win 2 gold medals. No matter it's a Veritas, it's a Michelangelo, it's Gilberts and Gila. End of the competitions, Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc doesn't go wrong with us. That is our king of our property. So that is our Cabernet Sauvignon. So what I can say is, if you want to book like today, if you want to book online, you have to book online. But in the morning, like 9 o'clock, you have to go to their station, like 9:30. Let me say 9:30. You have to. They will tell you on their website what time are they starting, and then you can go to their station. They will tell you where their station is in town. Yeah, it's not farm, and then they will give you the sticker that it shows that which wine farms are you going. They have yellow line, they have blue line, they have red line and green line. But I'm not sure which lines are working now. So everything that is in Franschhoek Valley, we use French style, because it's where the French people, they started to stay, and also it's them, they brought this. All the names that is around here, most of the names are French names. So from my side, I really appreciate the French people, because sometimes if those French people, they were not here, sometimes I'm not supposed to sit here and explain what I'm explaining. That's why you see the South Africans. I wish they
would have come to India.
Yeah.
We would have had so many French wineries.
And also for me in Zimbabwe, I wish them to come there. Because there's a nice land where there's nice land in Zimbabwe. I think you know if you Google it. And then also what I really like to South Africans, they appreciate what the French people, they done to them.
My name is Lawrence White. I am the tasting room manager for La Motte and Leopard's Leap, which is the farm next door. La Motte is one of the original farms which was granted in the Franschhoek Valley. Franschhoek was originally called Franschhoek. It means elephant corner. There was an elephant trail coming over the mountain pass from Stellenbosch. And in the 1680s, a group of French Huguenots, the Huguenots were Protestant and they were persecuted in Catholic France. So they fled to all the different countries in Europe, and a small group of them made their way down to the Cape, which was a Dutch colony. They were settled initially on the other side of the Berg River, and they complained about the land there. And so Simon van der Stel moved them further into the valley. The original farms were La Cotte, La Cabrière, La Provence, La Brie, and La Motte. La Motte was granted in 1695 to actually a German immigrant, Hans Hendrik Hatting, who had tagged along with the French families. So he was the first owner of La Motte, and he named the farm La Motte after a village in Provence called La Motte d'Iguer, which is a famous village in Provence in the south of France. The fourth owner of the farm, a guy called Gabriel Dutoit, he actually built these 4 buildings. So they date between 1752 and 1780. The 4 buildings are original red wine cellar, which is where he made his wine and his brandy. During Dutoit's tenure, we went from 4,000 vines on the farm to 20,000, so he needed a place to process his grapes. This would have been his masterpiece, the jewel in his crown, the manor house, which was much bigger, more elaborate. The next owner to have a big impression on the farm was Cecil John Rhodes. Now, he was famous for Rhodesia and for De Beers mining. He bought La Motte in 1898 after phylloxera had come to the Cape in 1888 and started decimating the Cape's vines. A lot of Cape wine farms were bankrupt, and he bought these bankrupt farms and turned them into fruit farms. So La Motte was a fruit farm from 1898 until 1930. And the next big step for us was when we were purchased in 1970 by Dr. Anton Rupert. Dr. Anton Rupert studied chemistry got his master's in chemistry at Pretoria University, and he went on to found Remgro, Rothmans Tobacco, British American Tobacco, Distillers, which is the biggest wine producer in South Africa. And he bought 3 farms in the Franschhoek Valley for his 3 children. He renovated all of these buildings, completely refurbished them. And in 1984, he gave La Motte to his daughter Hannelie, and she is the current owner, Hannelie Rupert Kucklenberg. She married her husband Hein Kucklenberg and in the early 2000s, they are both on the board of the Cape Leopard Trust. I still find it amazing that in these mountains we have a hiking trail which goes along the mountain ridge just up here, and we have 2 trap cameras there, and we photographed 2 leopards on that trail already, literally just less than a kilometre away. I find it amazing. But the leopards are under a lot of pressure from loss of habitat, from illegal trapping by farmers. And so Hein and Hannelie are on the Cape Leopard Trust. In the early 2000s, they started taking some of the grapes that La Motte was growing, and they didn't feel were the right style for La Motte, so they started selling them under the Leopard's Leap label and donating some of the proceeds to the Cape Leopard Trust. And Leopard's Leap grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. We bought a farm next door as the home for Leopard's Leap in 2010, and now Leopard's Leap is 6 times the size of La Motte. But both farms are quite big farms, medium to large producers. We produce about 1.2 million bottles of wine per year at La Motte. We have 160 hectares in total with 68 hectares of vineyard. So La Motte, we do 70% local and 30% export. Leopard's Leap is about the reverse of that, 70% export and 30% local. Yeah. We are open 6 days a week. We close on Mondays from 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. We have 2 different tastings available. The tasting at La Motte, which is 6 wines for 80 Rand, and we have the reserve tasting, which is the top 4 wines for 160 Rand. So you can come and do wine tasting. We have 2 restaurants on the farm, the La Motte Bakery, which is open from Wednesday to Sunday, and they serve a range of pastries, breads, croissants. They're open for breakfast and for lunch. Leopard's Leap, we are open for tasting, again, Tuesday to Sunday. We only close on Monday. We have a restaurant there called the Rotisserie, which is you plate your salads and your vegetables, and then we have like nice pork belly and beef neck and lamb neck, all that's done on a rotisserie. And so you plate your meat and then you go and sit down and you enjoy it. So the restaurant there is open from Wednesday until Sunday. Okay. So these wooden vats were bought in 1970 by Dr. Anton Rupert when he bought the farm in 1970. These vats were the first vessels they used to make wine. That was when we restarted the winemaking process at La Motte, and these were the original vats. And we've had the family crests and the names of some of the original Franschhoek Huguenot families carved into the vats, along with the date that they came to Franschhoek. We're going to start off with our MCC. La Motte MCC. MCC stands for Method Cap Classique. It is wine that is made. The MCC that we make is mostly Chardonnay, 68% Chardonnay, 32% Pinot Noir. What's interesting about this is zero dosage. Okay. So there's 2 things that we do to balance the acidity. The first is we do a long lease contact. So we do 46 months on the lease. And while the dead yeast cells are in the bottle they're breaking down and they're giving richer, yeastier flavours to the wine. And then the other thing we do is, this is the 2019, 10% of this is from 2018, and we keep the grapes in barrel for that year, that 10%, just also to give a bit of richness, to give a bit of fullness. So when you study wine, you learn it as Method Champenois, but it's derived from Champagne, which is why you're not allowed to, as a winery, we're not allowed to have it on our labels. Although the MCC Association are in the process of dropping the method from that, so it's going to be just Cap Classique. Yeah. Okay. Nowadays, all the equipment you can hire it, so you can do everything by machine as well, and it means that guys like us, which are a little bit smaller and not necessarily Cap Classique specialists, we can make a little bit of Cap Classique, and But I mean, this is 3,500 bottles per year, so it's a very, very small production. So certainly, because what's cooling everything down is the ocean. The Benguela current in the South Atlantic is bringing cold water from Antarctica up the west coast of Africa. So when you're at the coast, that's as cold as you're ever going to get. So the cool climate regions are Constantia in Cape Town, Durbanville, the seaside of Stellenbosch, because Stellenbosch is just over here, and it runs from the Simonsberg mountain, which is here, all the way to the ocean. So
the ocean side is much cooler.
The ocean side of Stellenbosch is cooler, and then the Simonsberg side is warmer, but not as warm as Paarl and Franschhoek. And then the other cool climate sites go down to past Hermanus, to Cape Agulhas, the Hemelanada Valley, and Elim, which is where we get our grapes for this. So Paarl and Franschhoek are warm. 2 La Motte Sauvignon Blancs. We're going to start on the left-hand side with the La Motte Sauvignon Blanc. So this is the biggest wine we make. Nearly half of all the wine we make is this one product. So the second Sauvignon Blanc that we make is the Pionnier Sauvignon Blanc. So Pionnier was a South African master artist. He lived from 1887 until 1956. He took blocks of that and he carved patterns into it with scalpels and with chisels. And after he died, his widow and his best friend found all these lino cuts that he'd done, and they picked their 128 favourite cuts, and they did 8 sets of prints, which they then auctioned to help pay for his children's education. After they'd done the 8 prints, they scored each block so they could never do those prints again. And this is set number 8. Dr. Anton Rupert bought 3 of the sets, 1 for each of his children, and this is Hanley's set number 8. Then the Vin de Joie, the wine of joy. So this is our Provençal style rosé. It is 71% Grenache, 17% Amorfreda, 6 Cinsault, 6 Syrah.
Wow. Varieties going for rosé.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with this. The lady on the label, all of our labels are quite, they just say La Motte with the logo, except the Vin de Joie label. So her name is the Franschhoek Blushing Bride. So the icon of La Motte is the lady, the sculpture that's in the it's a fountain there, and she is called the wine bearer, and she holds the cup and it overflows and it symbolises our generosity and our hospitality. And she's done by a sculptor named Tony McCaw. So this is 58% Syrah, also from that cool climate vineyard down in Elim. It is 22% Grenache and then 20% Durif.
Okay.
Yeah, the Grenache comes from Bot River. The Durif comes from here. 2017, which was a landmark vintage in South Africa. It was one of the drought vintages. So in the Western Cape, we had a drought from 2016, 2017, and 2018 were the 3 drought-affected vintages. And it got to such a point that we were only allowed to use at home 50 litres of water per person per day. Okay. So it was extremely extreme. We were literally a week away from having everybody in the Western Cape's taps turned off and having to go down to the end of the road to get water from a... The yield was very, very low, and the berries were small, concentrated, great intensity of fruit. And then by 2018, the vineyards had been stressed so much by 3 years of drought that the yield was virtually non-existent. But 2017 was considered one of the best vintages in the last 30 years in South Africa. It's 1,400 rand a bottle, so it is a super premium wine. We only make 3,500 bottles a year, and they're all numbered. This is bottle number 1,292 of 3,574.
So welcome to the tasting room of Leeu and Leeu family wines, where you can taste both Leeu wines from the Swartland and Leeu Passant wines, which are from regions outside the Swartland. We're based on Leeu Estates in Franschhoek. Leeu Estates has a beautiful hotel and beautiful grounds that you can walk around, and you can come and have a tasting at Leeu and Leeu family wines here. Leeu Passant, this is the home of Leeu Passant wines, and Leeu Passant started in about, our first release was the 2015 vintage, and the way it came about is that Leeu was originally a Swartland producer, and we were constantly being introduced to fantastic vineyards outside the Swartland, but we couldn't use those vineyards because Leeu was a Swartland brand. So you can't dilute your brand and suddenly make something from Stellenbosch. So around that time, we got a new business partner, Analjit Singh, and we had an opportunity to take this space here to make wines outside the Swartland. And that's how Leeu Passant came about. Leeu is the Afrikaans word for lion, and then passant is French for walking or roaming. So it's a lion roaming. That's the origin of the name. So we roamed the vineyards of the Western Cape looking for fantastic sites, often very old vineyards, with which to make great wine. So yes, Andrea and Chris Leeu are the owners and winemakers, and the wines are made with the same care and attention to detail as Leeu wines. The same philosophy of farming, sustainable farming, no herbicides, no pesticides, and natural winemaking in that it's a spontaneous ferment. We love oak, but we're not looking for overly oaked wines. We're looking for balance and elegance in all our wines, whether it's Leeu or Leeu Passant. So the wines in the range, one of them is a beautiful Chardonnay, which comes from Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch is probably the region, one of the regions, I guess, for really great Chardonnay. And the vineyard is at about 400 meters altitude, relatively close to the ocean. So you get a nice cooling influence, and you get a nice, relatively slow ripening season. So the grapes retain their acidity. And so we land up with a Chardonnay of beautiful balance, but freshness and a lot of energy in the wine as well. The wine does see oak. It sees French oak barriques. 30% new, so there is a hint of oak character in it, but it really is a world-class Chardonnay and has been acknowledged as a world-class Chardonnay. It's been rated top Chardonnay in South Africa for a number of years, so for me a very exciting wine. We also make a Cabernet Sauvignon, and the home of Cabernet Sauvignon in South Africa is Stellenbosch. And for us, I mean, Stellenbosch Cabernet Sauvignon has a particular character, and this is Stellenbosch Cabernet with a Leeu style, with a Chris and Andrea Leeu stamp on it. So again, that elegance. It's not a big alcoholic fruit bomb. It's a very elegant wine, very balanced, classic Cabernet sort of pencil shaving characteristics of that. And that's aged for 18 months in 500-litre barrels, 30% new. Then we do a red blend, and this is our flagship. It's called the Leeu Passant, and it is a blend of mainly Cabernet Sauvignon, also from Stellenbosch, Cabernet Franc, which gives it a beautiful kind of violet herbaceous character, and then Cinsault. And Cinsault is a very exciting grape in South Africa, making some really beautiful wines.
It's been
But
for long.
For a long, long time, absolutely. We used to have a lot of Cinsault in South Africa, and it has big bunches and it makes very juicy, sometimes watered down wine if your yields are too high. But we've got some incredible sites of old Cinsault where the bunches are smaller, the berries are smaller, and so you get more intense flavors. And we've got a vineyard in Wellington, which is about an hour from here, on the way to the Swartland. This is the oldest registered red wine vineyard in South Africa, and it was planted in 1900. And it's an old bush vine vineyard. We were introduced to it about 6 or 7 years ago. Thirdly, we make a Semillon. And the Semillon comes from Franschhoek. Franschhoek is known for two varieties, I would say, in terms of quality wine. One is Cabernet Franc, some fantastic Cabernet Franc vineyards, generally on the mountain slopes around here, and then Semillon as well. And just further along the road, that way on the slopes, this side, is one of the oldest Semillon vineyards as well. Unfortunately, that's not the one we use for our Semillon, but it's also a relatively old vineyard on the mountain slopes. So Franschhoek is known for Semillon and Cabernet Franc. 60% of the sales from our tasting room are to foreigners, are to visitors from overseas. Yes. And we ship wines, unfortunately we can't to India, but we ship about 60% of the wines directly to private customers living in the US or in Europe. But that's Leeu Passant wines. Yeah.
So the first one that I'm going to pour you, that's the 2021 Leeu Passant Stellenbosch Chardonnay. First release for Leeu Passant wines was 2015. And for this Chardonnay, we get the grapes from Stellenbosch on the Helderberg Mountains. The vineyards in Stellenbosch, they're about 400 meters above sea levels and 5 kilometers away from the ocean. So they get that beautiful maritime climate. Sure. So the next wine you see is the Leeu Passant flagship red. For Leeu Passant wines, it's a 2020 vintage. And this is a red blend. 45% Cabernet Sauvignon, 45% Cabernet Franc, 10% Cinsault. Cinsault, also known as Hermitage. We get Hermitage, yes, which is one of Pinotage parents.
Yeah, and Pinotage is invented here in South Africa.
Yeah, that's the South African signature grape, which is the cross-pollination of Pinot Noir and Hermitage. Yeah, so we get our Cinsault from the first oldest registered red wine vineyards of South Africa, planted in 1900.
Oldest one of them.
Yeah, oldest registered, that's 123 years old, Cinsault vineyard. Now, Cinsault, when the vines are still young, it produces more fruit, but as the vineyards get older, so the yield is very small, but you get more concentrated flavors. So now I'm going to pour you the 2017 Leeu Passant Radicales. This is 100% Chardonnay.
And Nicolas, you mentioned that this is the one which is inspired by the Spanish.
By the white Riojas, yeah. It's made in an oxidative style. Now the wine spent about 60 months, 5 years in the barrels. But very older barriques, like 5 times barrels. And we don't top it, all the water evaporates, then the wine concentrates. It's not a normal wine, it's like a force of nature. Yeah.
And this can last for very long?
This lasts for decades, yeah. For a white wine, it can go up to 15, 20 years, yeah. In South Africa, we're the only producer that does a style of wine like this. Now, 5 years in the barrel, that's very long time, yeah. Production is also very small. We only made 149 cases for this wine. That's less than 1,000 bottles.
So guys, welcome here at Holden Manz Wine Estate. So my name's Hendrik and I work here at the tasting room. So I do most of the tastings here and also some wine sales. So you guys today are doing one of our tasting options, which is the platinum tasting, which is 2 white wines and 3 easy drinking and very well known red wines that we produce here. So firstly, beginning from right to left, we have the Chenin Blanc 2022. Second white wine, which is our barrel fermented Chardonnay. So this guy was rated 4 stars on John Platter's, the Diners Club, and also multi-award winner here in Franschhoek. Moving over to our red wines, we are starting off with our Holden Manz 2018 Visionaire. So this guy, one of our best reds here, in my opinion. So this is a blend between Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot and Syrah grapes. Matured for 30 months, but you can still age this one another 7 to 12 years. And it's just going to get more softer and more smoother. So the grape varieties in this guy alone is 4 different types. So that's Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot and Syrah. And then we are moving on to our 2020 Holden Manz Cabernet Sauvignon. So this guy, as you're drinking this and tasting it, you are actually watching this year's harvest busy growing. Then the last one for the red wines, 4.5 stars on John Platter, the Diners Club. Our Big G, which is multi-award winner and we are best known for. So this guy is a blend between 3 different cultivars. So that would be Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon and 21% Merlot. The Merlot is in just to make it more softer and more smoother. So the Big G is actually named after our big boss, Gerard Holden. So, and also after the elephant history of Franschhoek. And that's so in the Voortrekker era. This was called Elephant's Corner or Elephant's Nest. You will also see a lot of elephant type of logos or signs in town or at other wine estates. So this was their home. So the road going across that mountain right there, the Franschhoek Pass, that was one of their walking paths. So, and then the people came later and said, okay, this piece is already flat, let's just build a road here. So that's why you would see the elephant on this one, just to commemorate Gerard Holden himself and also that elephant history. And then, yeah, as you said, so this is one of their inspirations because this is one of the wine gods. And yeah, I mean, the Visionaire, this just makes you excited. So we cover a couple of options, like some of these tables that you see here today. It comes from the Franschhoek tram. We are on the Blue Line, which offers you 5 different wine farms. Then you come to us for an hour, or you can choose, you're going to do 2 hours. Then we offer you also on the tram 10% discount on your tasting and 10% discount on your whole purchase. Other options is you can just come in, drive through security and enjoy some wines or have a nice lunch, because we also offer on top of the tasting room lunch menu a nice a la carte restaurant. But that's only open for lunch, but you can also book us for your dinner or a special occasion. And then lastly, we have also like a normal salad tour, and then you can see from start to finish everything happening in the cellars. We offer a 5-star guest house where you can stay over for as long as possible. Included in your package there is a breakfast every morning and also a complimentary tasting like the one you just had. We can also ship to the whole of Europe because we use the wine store, which is situated in Munich, and from there they ship to a lot of European countries. And I mean, if you buy on that, 8% discount, and we cover all the service and duty charges. And then for our American customers, we have Cape Ardor, which is situated in California, the Bay Area, and from there they ship our wines to America.
Bye.